video, we are going to be talking about how I personally became a full-time filmmaker. Now, I'm making this video, one, hopefully to inspire you guys, to show you that this entire thing is possible, but also so that maybe you guys can learn a couple things from my journey and possibly enact those in your journey, because I know a lot of you guys are just getting started, wanting to figure out where you need to go, what you need to do, and ultimately how you turn this passion of filmmaking or videography into a full-time job. So without further ado, I want to jump into my story, but in order to do that, we've got to start at the beginning. So for me, my story starts actually about a year after I graduated out of high school. Unfortunately, I didn't pick up a camera until after I had already graduated. So if you picked up a camera in high school, you're already steps ahead of me. But I didn't realize that I actually enjoyed filming until I actually tried filming some videos of myself. See, before I was a filmmaker, I was actually a professional dancer, and I used to go on tours and work with artists and all these crazy things. And at that same time, YouTube kind of kicked off, and I decided I wanted to shoot some videos of me and my dance crew at the time. And what was really interesting to me was that I actually started falling in love with the idea of making videos more than I actually enjoyed like being in the videos myself. Fast forward a couple years and I really started to like dive into this world of YouTube and filmmaking. I wanted to know what it took in order for me to become a filmmaker. And so I started following channels like Film Riot and Indie Mogul and really just trying to learn and just soak up as much knowledge as I possibly could. Now at the time, I was not fortunate enough to be able to go to a film school. I mean, in fact, I could barely even go to community college. And so this really meant that if I was gonna learn this craft, I was gonna have to teach myself. And luckily, the internet was around and I was able to study and learn from some of the greatest that were willing to give their knowledge free of charge online. But then something happened, something that really changed the entire trajectory of my life, actually. So me and my wife, but at the time she was just my girlfriend, we had our first son, and I was actually only 19 at the time. And I just remember this time being like super challenging. I mean, just being completely transparent, wasn't really prepared or ready to have a child, but I knew I needed to step up and do what it was gonna take. And in that moment, I had to really make a pretty difficult decision. I had to really decide that, like, you know, my family was gonna come first, and what was I going to do? What was gonna be my trajectory for my life? And in that moment is actually when I decided that I wanted to really figure out how to make filmmaking a full-time career. Now, I know a lot of people are probably thinking, like, how can you do that? You just had a baby. Like, why would you go all in on filmmaking then? And I didn't go all in. I mean, I did it very strategically. I still had a full-time job. I was actually working at Apple at the time. And what I decided was that being a full-time filmmaker was actually gonna give me not only the just creative freedom, but it was also gonna give me just like the freedom of time. See, everybody who I had known at the time who was into the videography business or into the film business, they had control of their schedule. There was this sense of freedom of being able to control their own destiny. The harder you work, the more money you could possibly make. Ultimately, the more time that you could have for your family. And so this was one of the big reasons why I decided that I wanted to go after this. It was primarily because I wanted to have the time and the freedom to put towards my family. One of the biggest things that I did at the very beginning, and I've talked about this a lot here on the channel, was I started shooting real estate videos. Now, when I first started, my videos were honestly pretty trash. I go back and look at them now and it's surprising that people paid me for them, but I started off shooting real estate videos, and this was something that I didn't realize that I was doing, that is actually something now that I recommend a lot of people to do, but that is start in one field and master it. And this is something that I kind of did accidentally. I fell into shooting real estate video, and it really did make a huge difference. It was the first area that I fell into that I realized that people were willing to pay me in order to go out and create content. And the best part about shooting real estate, at least for me, was the fact that there are just so many realtors and they're selling a lot of houses every single week. And so this just meant that there was a huge pool of people for me to be able to network with and potentially get new business from. And so real estate was a huge area. However, this is also where I learned one of my biggest issues was that if you put all of your efforts into just one field, if that field tanks in any way, you could potentially be in a lot of trouble. And this is actually what I discovered my first year in doing real estate, was that, you know, around December and January, people aren't selling their houses, which means there's not a lot of real estate to shoot, which means I didn't have a lot of work to actually do. And so what I decided at that moment was that I needed to pivot my business and start looking at shooting other industries in order to make sure that if real estate was gonna have a dull season, I didn't have to have a dull season, and that I could actually go out and shoot other things. And this is where I found my love for working with commercial clients. I shoot with lots of commercial clients now, and it all started by shooting this one free spec video. I actually worked with this brand called Sprayground, and I shot this commercial for them completely for free. In fact, it actually cost me money because I actually bought the backpack that I needed in order for me to shoot this video, but it was the best investment I could have ever made, because not only did I get future work for them by showing them this spec commercial and wanting to work with them, but it also gave me something to show to other businesses that were trying to promote their products that would allow me to go on to shoot many more commercials and turn this hobby, this partial business, into something that I could do full time. See, it was after this spec project that I really started to focus in hard on my business. I started realizing that it was more important for me to know about the business side of what I do than just the filmmaking. And so I really went into, what do companies need? How can I help companies with my service of videography? And this is really where everything changed. I started realizing that companies are always trying to either grow their lists, sell a widget, or just try to get some brand awareness. So I started focusing on creating videos that would help them with that process. And that is something that I would strongly recommend you guys do. Remember, yes, as filmmakers, videographers, we love the craft that is video work, but when we're working for clients, honestly, they probably couldn't care less what your settings are, what type of gear you have, whatever, as long as the video actually services whatever their company's ultimate goal is. And so that was one thing that I started to focus on. And ironically, what I found was that I personally have never thought that I was the most talented videographer out there. I think that there's actually, it's like some very, very talented videographers, especially here in the Houston area, that are way beyond what I can do. But one thing that I noticed was, because I was able to focus on the business side and be able to speak to my clients in a way where I could tell them how what I was creating for them was gonna help them to accomplish their goals, I found that I actually was getting booked out a lot more than some of my more talented colleagues. And it was really because I understood the business side of what we were doing. Because when it comes to being a full-time filmmaker, creator, whatever, if you don't understand the business, you're really gonna struggle. And at that point, you won't even get a chance to do the creative, which is the whole reason why all of us get into this to begin with. Once I started to get my business really up on its feet is when I finally made the decision that it was time to quit my full-time job at Apple and go all in. This was probably the scariest thing that I've ever done, really, because it was putting all the faith into my hands and saying that it was on me to work hard if I wanted to be successful. It was also at this time that I decided that I was gonna start to dabble into this YouTube thing. I mean, for me, quitting my job at Apple and going all in and becoming a full-time filmmaker creator was the dream. But it wasn't like just the reality. See, the reality was that I actually had to work harder than I had ever worked before. And that's one thing I tell a lot of creators is just, if this is your goal, just know that it's going to take a lot of work, but it is worth it. Dialing in, going all in to become a full-time freelancer, commercial creator, whatever it is that you want to do, going all in is so satisfying. Yes, there's going to be days where, you know, it feels like a job. Yes, there's going to be some days where you're going to be like, did I make the right decision? But trust me, the satisfaction that you have in knowing that you are on a path that you can control and that you can decide to go all in on is absolutely worth it. So it's been roughly about 4 to 5 years since I quit my full-time job, and I've been doing this full-time filmmaking, freelancing lifestyle, and I'm actually in the process of making another big shift to my business. See, you guys know me here on the YouTube channel, but most of my time is actually spent focusing on client work. But this year, I have really gotten a chance to, well, actually last year, I really got a chance to just understand what it is that I want. And for me, that is to help you guys. I love this channel. I love being able to give back and to give information and to help you guys and to chat with you guys, whether that's in the DMs or through my text line or wherever. I love working with you guys and helping you guys to become better filmmakers. I think I love teaching it more than I actually love doing it, even though I really love doing commercial work and client work. And so for me this year, I want to focus more on YouTube. I want to focus more on helping you guys out. And that's the whole journey at this point. I mean, the journey has been long and it has been ups and downs and it has been a blast the entire route. But I think a lot of it is leading me up to this moment right here, which is where I'm saying that this year I'll be going full time on YouTube. I'll still be doing some client work because quite frankly, I love it. I enjoy it. I think it's a lot of fun, but I want to go full time on YouTube. So that way I actually have the time to dedicate to uploading consistently and to helping you guys out and to being able to chat with you and to come out with amazing content that I know is going to ultimately help you guys out. I want to say thank you so much for all of you guys who have been like leaving me comments in the chat, and I try my best to respond to all of them because it all motivates me to just keep creating and to keep creating stuff that I know is going to help you guys at the end of the day.